News. I am your regular host, Matthew Dawkins. I am as regular as can be. It helps to keep a balanced diet, do a little bit of exercise, it'll keep you regular. Anyway, I've got three major headlines for you on this Onyx Path News. That's all right. Three. Not just one, not two, but three. And here's number one. The Storypath the Storypath Ultra Core Manual has been launched on BackerKit as of last week. And you know what else? We are nearly at 400% funding. I think, and I say this on some campaigns, not all of them, but I say this on some, and I will say it for this one. This has far exceeded our expectations. We had no idea what kind of appetite or enthusiasm there would be for a core manual of this kind, where you could basically change around Storypath Ultra, expand it, bolt bits on, use it as a tool for creating your own games or content for existing games. Hell, updating existing games as well. I think also the idea of the games that we're slotting into this book is appealing to some people. We start with Pinfalls from Hell. We are already doing voting on subsequent games. All of that has really grabbed people. We set the funding target quite low. We had no idea, as I say, how well this would be received. And we are nearly at 400% of the funding total. And that just keeps climbing. The figure keeps climbing. It is lovely to see. It's fantastic. It's wonderful news for us, obviously, that people are so enthusiastic about it. And I know I can speak for the team when we all say thank you so much. Thank you sincerely for giving this project your support. It means you are enthusiastic about the Storypath Ultra system, but I think more importantly, what you can do with the Storypath Ultra system. It's difficult, I think, sometimes get your head around why people might be excited about, a number of dice rolled in a certain order, but there is obviously more to it than that. There are the ways you can use the system, and whether the system feels intrusive. The ways you can expand the system, as mentioned, we spoke quite at length on the Onyx Path Discord, for instance, about the investigation system and the ways you can expand that depending on how mystery focused your game happens to be. We have that with a whole raft of sections in this book. And hello, Corbin. Thank you very much for tuning in live. And in fact, speaking of Corbin, I'm going to shine a spotlight onto him right now because he is conducting interviews with all kinds of developers on Onyx Path right now. If I have to point out a fantastic influencer, media content creator, fan, supporter right now, Corbin would be that, because he is creating so much media surrounding Curseborn, surrounding Storypath Ultra. He has just released an interview with Eddie Webb, the developer of the Storypath Ultra core manual, and we'll be doing more content for that and for Curseborn. So thanks very much, Corbin, and do check out his channel. That is Awkward GM Corbin. So if you want to find out more, Corbin's a good place to go. Check out his videos on YouTube. So yeah, we have the Storypath Ultra core manual that is currently funding on BackerKit. It is funded. We funded it within a day, I think, of launching. And yeah, we are already, as I say, nearly at 400%. I hope we reach it soon. That's not the only thing we launched in the last week. It's been a very busy week because last week we also released the Path to Apotheosis book for Scion, the second edition. This is a selection of demigod-themed scenarios. No Gods, No Masters was received so well. And that was a campaign book, if you will, that takes you all the way from Origin to Demigods here. It really told us that there is enthusiasm there for Scion adventures. Adventures are, like many role-playing game sourcebooks, always a risk because we know that players don't tend to buy adventures. Story guides do. Players don't. And No Gods, No Masters was received so well. And I'm really hoping Path to Apotheosis is treated to a similar warm reception, because I think this book, with all of its stories within it, really demonstrates the kind of games you can play with Scion Demigod. It goes all over the place, from hard and fast action adventure through to mystery and diplomacy and more theological stuff, of course. I've said, I think it was on one of our AMAs recently, someone asked, what is your favorite Onyx Path book that you haven't worked on? And I said Scion Demigod, because it is actually my favorite of all of the Scion core books, which is maybe an interesting one because it's thrust quite firmly in the middle between the two cheeks, if you like, of hero and god. And I think it is because it most demonstrates to me the kind of superhero tier that interests me when I read comic books. I guess I think of almost Justice League International style. They aren't necessarily going out into space and beating up aliens, although they sometimes do. The Martian Manhunter is one of them. But you are essentially on the cusp of godhood, hence demigod, but still rooted to your mortality. And that means you can go up against some very interesting antagonists. You can face off some amazing threats in demigod. I just love it. And Path to Apotheosis, I had the great joy of overseeing this from on high. I didn't develop it personally. And I think it is a book I would recommend to anyone who's looking to get into Scion. I think is a brilliant jumping off point for Scion Demigod, most certainly. And David Castro, who developed that, did a wonderful job. Hiromi, who oversees all of the Scion books, again, did a fantastic job. And the team, all of the authors and artists. So thank you so much. Do check out Path to Apotheosis if you haven't. The link to both that and the Storypath Ultra Core Manual are below. You know, I've actually heard a few times, when are you going to release a Chronicles of Darkness style book for Scion or for Trinity or for Curseborn, you know, a sort of mortal facing book. And to go back to Storypath Ultra Core, this is a book you can use to basically supplement pretty much any of our Storypath games by creating characters using this system and have them exist in the world, capital W, of Scion, or indeed the worlds of Trinity. So do check it out. I will also point out to you, as I'm closing in on Monday meeting time, the current game jam, which is taking place across various community content programs. I link it below as well, which is your next adventure. The game jam is designed for people who want to write RPGs or who already write RPGs and really want to, I guess, create content that will be promoted by companies like Drive-Thru RPG, One Bookshelf at the time of release. I believe in the promo literature, it suggests things like, what if you want to create a sequel to our Ghost Hunters adventure, The Longest Night? What if you want to create a sequel to the Lost Mines of Fandelver, I think it is, for D&D, and so on. This is a setup where you're given all kinds of tools and you are encouraged to create the next adventure in a sequence to follow an existing published adventure that you may not have had anything to do with the creation of. And of course, it will be promoted as part of this game jam package. So if you ever wanted to get into writing RPGs, this is a wonderful place to start. Give it a go. Find an adventure you really enjoyed. I recommend The Haunting of Abbey and Priory for They Came From Beyond the Grave, or indeed No Gods, No Masters for Scion. And hell, Rat in a Burning Cage for Trinity Continuum Assassins. That's another good one. Write the sequel and release it as part of this game jam. I would love to see it. Now, all of that said, I want to thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Do check out Awkward GM Corbin's many, many videos on Curseborn Storypath Ultra, including his first impressions video on SPU, which just came out. And I will speak to you all again soon. Bye-bye.